This is Jupiter Today for the 13th of December, 2014. Jupiter Today is a daily podcast focusing attention on the dynamic Jupiter system for the purpose of monitoring activity. At 0 hours UTC, the position of Jupiter on the celestial sphere is a right ascension of 9 hours 40 minutes 1.2 seconds and a declination of 14 degrees 47 minutes 15.5 seconds. The angular separation between the Sun and Jupiter is 118.278 degrees, and that's 1.028 degrees greater than it was yesterday. The distance between Earth and Jupiter continues to get shorter and shorter. The distance today is 714,601,217 kilometers, and that's 2,075,361 kilometers closer than yesterday. And that gives the Earth and Jupiter a relative velocity of 86,473.38 kilometers per hour, moving toward one another. And that's 803.41 kilometers per hour slower than it was yesterday. The central meridian at 0 hours UTC, CM1 294.54, CM2 15.01 degrees, and CM3 268.71 degrees. Io begins the day in quadrant 3, heading west, and Europa also starts the day in quadrant 3, heading west. So they're both in quadrant 3. Europa is about twice as far away from Jupiter as Io, but at this particular point they are more or less lined up. They're in occultation. And in fact, Europa is occulting Io for that big long 180 plus minute occultation. But Europa is twice as far away from Jupiter as Io. It's an interesting alignment. At 0 hours UTC, Ganymede spends all day in quadrant 2, heading west. And Callisto starts the day in quadrant 4, heading east. At 6 hours UTC, Io is at western elongation, and you can see that Callisto is in the shadow of Jupiter. At 12 hours UTC, Io is in quadrant 4, heading west. Europa continues in quadrant 3, heading west. At 18 hours UTC, Io and Callisto are both behind Jupiter. Io is just coming out, and Europa is near its greatest western elongation and is now in quadrant 4, heading east. And by 0 hours tomorrow, Io is in quadrant 1, heading east. There were 6 Jupiter satellite events. The first at 4:50 UTC, when Callisto disappears into the shadow of Jupiter. At 9:43, Callisto reappears from the shadow of Jupiter. At 14:27, Io disappears into the shadow of Jupiter. At 15:22 UTC, Callisto disappears behind Jupiter. At 17:53, Io reappears from behind Jupiter. And at 20:12 UTC, Callisto reappears from behind Jupiter. There are no satellite mutual events today, except for the one that started the day, the Europa occulting Io. 24 hours of Jupiter sky, Standing at the equator of Jupiter, looking outward, you can see Europa and Io there. And from our point of view, Europa is occulting Io, or has just finished occulting Io. The sun goes down, Callisto rises. Callisto's moving behind Jupiter. The red spot crosses Jupiter twice today, the first at 5:15 UTC and the second at 19:20 UTC. There were no new images. On the 10th of December, there was some new radio data. Again, this is the UTC time and the frequency in megahertz. And there were no new papers published today. So please subscribe. We'll be delighted to hear your comments, suggestions, questions. Send your images of Jupiter or the Jupiter system with the time that you took the images to the email show. And until tomorrow, I bid you peace.